Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Peace Dealer. I just wanted to share a very special message, okay, about rhetoric versus facts. Because, some people are just helplessly dumb out here. And so I want to really take time out my day to make sure we're clear on a few things. I have a few book recommendations. Shout out Glenn Perry. We have a rule book of arguments. You see that? 5th edition. This is made by Anthony Weston. Go and get you that. Some of you still have the Bible, begging the question, which is a fallacy. Go and get you this book. Then we have an illustration of bad arguments by Ali Al-Masawi. Straight legend. Can you believe that? Learn the lost art of making sense. Oh my gosh, nobody makes sense at all these days anymore. Literally, you can have a dick and race against a woman with a vagina in the Olympics because you identify as that gender. That makes perfect sense. So listen, get one of these books. I used to think this shit was boring. The last 2 college classes I took in UNLV were rhetoric. And you know what I had to get? I had to get these books. Not exactly these, but I had to learn how to break down fallacies. Okay? And I'm taking a 2-year astropsychology diploma course. Glenn Perry makes us read this. Fascinating book. But this book is the shit. The Lost Art of Making Sense. Please, don't just listen to my message. Don't just listen to my message and take it for face value. I don't want any of you to blindly believe me. Get these books. Just like I'm going to be talking about rhetoric and facts, hold me accountable too. Listen to every premise that I'm saying in my argument so that you can hear and see it sound. Because the only thing God has given you is logic. Logic helps you discern bullshit. So let's talk about it. Because there's so much bullshit rhetoric about so much. But one of the most stupid things that I've heard so far is this concept of asymptomatic spread. Do you know what I am? I'm a selfish ass motherfucker. I'm an extremely selfish walking virus strain factory. You know why? Because I haven't gotten vaccinated, which is crazy how I can be a virus factory, but I don't have any virus. I'm negative for COVID. I'm negative for literally every virus. So can somebody tell me how it makes sense that I can spread with no symptoms a virus to people when I don't have a virus? I will tell you how. It's called rhetoric. It's called being inundated by false narratives in a postmodern technocratic world where other scientists, engineers, and doctors who are telling you the same shit I'm telling you are getting censored, and a very rare select few of experts that are allowed to express some agenda are able to express their voice to give you the impression that it's coming from one unified field. Okay? Please get these books. Get these books. Because if you read them every day and you're able to train your mind to spot fallacies, you'll see that this is literally child's play and that grown adults can't even form logical arguments to save their lives, and we really are in a pandemic filled with idiots and cowards. So let me break down something. I hope you know I wanted to wait until 2021 because we needed more time for stuff to just not add up. Are you aware that the whole entire concept of asymptomatic spread is a complete lie? I'm not going to say across all board. This is where rhetoric could be thrown at my face and facts could be used to administer half-truths to source times and instances outside of this virus where asymptomatic spread actually occurs. I'm talking about relative to this virus. There is absolutely 0% of evidence to assert that asymptomatic spread with COVID even exists. We know this is true last year because these motherfuckers basically okey-doked you and said, oh, asymptomatic spread is like very dangerous, and so we need to use this as a plot device so that we can lock you bitches down. Oh, you know what? We just found out because other scientists found out before we found out, so we have to find out too so that you will take us less serious, that asymptomatic spread actually is rare. You know what I'm saying? It's a developing virus, so we're gonna have change of minds of things as we come into new information. Oh, you know what? We need to lock down you bitches again. So we had studies that recently realized that asymptomatic spread actually is a factor when there's no such thing as asymptomatic spread. Let me tell you something. A plot device is a narrative mechanic used to drive forward a narrative. And so while you are arguing with people who truly believe that unvaccinated, selfish people are driving up cases, let's pick apart these arguments, because someone can take that and think that that means certain people need to be jabbed or to, I don't know, stay inside. That is rhetoric. That is not a fact. Ask yourself if you have been given a shred of evidence to assert or link case numbers, which are completely fabricated, with asymptomatic individuals who are not vaccinated. You have not been given a link. You've just had your intelligence insulted. You've been hit with ad hominem fallacies, which is a fallacy in here. Instead of attacking what you're saying by attacking your character. I'm not telling you this so that you can walk around resentful. I'm telling you this so you can challenge the logical arguments you're being hit with. Start asking questions. The word is your sword. It's called logic. That's logos. Okay? You're getting hit with pathos and false ethos. People are appealing to your emotions, but they're not hitting you with logos. They're using false ethos to make you feel like you don't need extra logos because I'm an authority figure. No, you're a bitch and you need to suck my dick. So listen, ask people who are telling you that asymptomatic spread is causing cases to rise to give you a definitive link and proof that does not involve hearsay, some bullshit peer-reviewed research by experts, but actual proof. And I'm only saying this so that you can see with your eyes that no one knows what they're talking about. They're referencing other motherfuckers who said stuff from other motherfuckers who said stuff. Most of y'all already know this, but I want you to actually go and ask these experts. I'm not telling you to argue with people. Listen to what they're saying. When you listen to what people say, you can listen to the logic behind their words, and they will let you know themselves unconsciously or consciously they don't know shit. Don't let anyone make you feel like you have to be an expert in virology. Do you have to be an expert in meteorology to know that it's going to rain? The woman in Mean Girls isn't the only woman that can make it rain by working with her boobs. I have that ability too. So like, is she an expert in meteorology? Do you have to be an expert in meteorology to be able to look at the sky and see that a storm is coming? Being an expert will help you understand a few details, but not certain simple things, like knowing if you have a fucking virus or not, or knowing if you're symptomatic or not. You can literally get a test and see if you're negative or not, which I still wouldn't recommend you do. So please, the purpose of me saying this message is challenge the authority out there that's peddling this nonsense and make sure that the logic that they are speaking actually is sound. An argument is made up of premises and a conclusion. And if those premises aren't even real, that is not a sound, logical argument. That means niggas don't know what they're talking about. The premise that asymptomatic spread is even a thing with COVID has never been proven. This is literally just speculative. Niggas literally just made it up so that they have a reason to link cases rising with why there's not enough people getting vaccinated. There's no definitive argument for that. That's literally just rhetoric. That's literally just a false narrative so that people who aren't experts in this can turn on other people who they feel are responsible who aren't. There's not a single one of you that can even prove that the case numbers that are rising are genuine. If I were to ask you to prove to me that these case numbers aren't being made up from someone's ass, you can't. So do you know what you're doing? You're taking it off on faith. This is not logic. You're not holding these people accountable to actual proof. You're taking the Associated Press and the mainstream media off on faith. That is no different than Akbar, who trusts and prays to Allah, and to Joni, who prays to God and gives what they read in their books up on faith. I hope you know that is cultish. There's nothing scientific about that. There is nothing logical about bending your ass and listening to people without challenging their rhetoric. There isn't. There isn't. And as a challenge to this video, without having to send me a link to somebody else who heard it from somebody else, you need to let me know definitively how and why people who exhibit no symptoms of a virus and literally have no virus are responsible for driving cases up because they're not vaccinated. I really seriously ask that you question this, because the more that these people are unable to drive home these false narratives, the more that they're going to be able to move the line on what you are forced to do. Because nobody is going to kick into your door and force vaxes on you. They're going to take it step by step by step. First, they're going to have an operation to make it available. Then, they're going to give you the option to choose. Then, they're going to slowly lock down private institutions. It's already happening in France. It's already happening in certain states in America, where if you don't necessarily have it, you can't shop or whatever. Then, they're going to have it ready on deck for firemen to come to your house and inject it if you want it. Then, they're going to blame unselfish, unvaccinated people for driving fake case numbers up that you can't prove are real or not. And then they're going to use that as onus to forcibly inject. Let me tell you something. Ain't nobody forcing anything on me. And the whole notion of having to take booster shots every year to maintain it is what they did with the flu. Some of y'all are still taking the flu virus, or the flu vaccine, just because it works. Efficacy in something working is not enough for a reason to do something. That in and of itself can be used as a deceptive tool just to get you to do something because of the illusion of it working, period. So whether you think what I said is stupid or not, get out your feelings, get in this book, and point out the flaws in my logical argument, which there are none. The truth doesn't have to argue with anybody, period. At the end of the day, there's no reason why any of you who don't have a virus should fear spreading asymptomatic spread to people who don't. That is a myth. That is a complete myth. It is a plot device that was completely made up. And if you don't believe me, think about how much they flip-flopped on this last year and ask anybody to give you definitive proof outside of an inconclusive research or study that is not corroborated by every expert. Most medical professionals will tell you it's bullshit, but their voices are getting censored. So that's really my challenge to you. Please, if you're not reading a book like this every day, sharpen your mind, because you have to be able to spot fallacies a mile away. And we commit this every day. I call myself on it when I commit it instantly too. So please keep that in mind. The less serious you take this, the more you're enabling others to take less seriously your boundaries. And, you know, I'm not going to say this shit has to stop. This has been going on for decades. I think what might be blocking y'all is some of y'all are looking at this as it's new. This is just a refresh of the same bullshit, and it's just updated. But I had to put this out there because some of you are still walking around thinking asymptomatic spread is a real thing, and it's not though. It's literally not. You're not going to get the virus from someone who doesn't have the virus. And you know they don't have the virus because they're not exhibiting symptoms. Period. Find anyone who's asymptomatic. I will have them cough on me. And then we can get tested. Period. And if you're willing to take that risk, which you've already done, people think I don't go out. I Lyft and Uber with no mask. I do a podcast with a partner with no mask. I've gone to stores with people with no mask. I've been in close proximity to people with no mask. If any of them were asymptomatic, I should have it, unless I'm asymptomatic. Which, once again, I'm not going to say that there isn't research and proof behind this that asymptomatic spread is a thing. I'm saying the research is inconclusive, and the rhetoric is to take the meaning of those facts and to tell you that that means that, oh, asymptomatic spread, that's a lie. It's a complete lie. There's no science to support that outside of inconclusive research, twisted and manipulated in a certain way to create a plot device to drive home a false narrative. Godspeed.